Oh, welcome back to Citizens Bank Park here in Philadelphia as the Reds and the Phillies are getting ready for game 2. Brandon Phillips signing some autographs for fans as the rain delay is just about ready to wrap up. It'll be about a 50-minute rain delay by the time we do get things going. They were about ready to get things on time rolling, but a burst of rain just prior to the 7 o'clock hour left the tarp on the field. They've now got it cleaned off. They did get the tarp on before the rain ever started, so the infield's in pretty good shape. Outfield's a little slick, the grass a little slick, no puddling. Of course, these ballparks are just remarkable the way they drain water. And we're ready to play some baseball. Eugenio Suarez and the Reds hopeful of taking game 2 of this 3-game set, and they'll face a tough customer in Aaron Nola, who's just been outstanding for Philadelphia so far. Let's check the starting lineup for Brian Price, who, yes, is back in the dugout after that 1-game suspension that he served last night. Zach Cozart back in the leadoff spot. Behind him is Jose Peraza, just called up with Billy Hamilton on the bereavement list for 3 games at least. Joey Votto in the number 3 spot. Brandon Phillips hits cleanup. Jay Bruce, Suarez, Duval, Barnhart, and Tim Adelman, the pitcher, will bat in the number 9 position. That is your Cincinnati Reds starting lineup for Brian Price. And on the mound for the Philadelphia Phils, a guy who, when he was in high school, people thought he would be pretty good. When he was in college at LSU, they knew he was pretty good. And now, Chris, he's pretty good in the major leagues, too.
Well, you're right about that, George. I guess the best way to describe Aaron Nola is that he is a control specialist. He's able to pinpoint his fastball really around the zone wherever he wants. He's got a very good curveball. In fact, maybe one of the best curveballs in all the major leagues, and he's able to control that in and out of the strike zone as well. That's why the numbers you see, the peripheral numbers for Nola, the on-base percentage against, the number of hits he gives up, the strikeouts, those are off the charts for a 22-year-old, all because of control.
So Nola ready to go to work, facing Zach Cozart, who steps in at 317. That's a fastball in there for strike 1. Vic Carpazza is your home plate umpire. The veteran John Hirschbeck, Ohio native, is down at first. Ramon De Jesus at second, and DJ Rayburn, your third base umpire. He throws from the right side, and there's a pop-up. Howard giving chase. Ryan can't get there. It clanks off the railing, and it'll be another life for Cozart. And while he throws from the right side, Chris, Kurt Hamill, the former lefty for the Philadelphia Phils, he kind of reminds you a little bit of him with his motion, the leg kick and the way he wheels and deals to the plate.
Well, definitely the leg kick does, George. You're right about that. But I think one of the deceptive things about Aaron Nola is his low arm slot. Very low arm slot, and even though he throws from a low arm slot, he's got great downward break on the curveball, so he debunks the reason for throwing straight overhand.
There's a line drive into left. Cozart bangs a base hit, and the Reds have the leadoff hitter on. Last night the hits were few and far between. In fact, Jeremy Hellickson struck out the side in the first. The Reds got 2 runs in the second, and after the 4th they didn't have a hit for the rest of the ball game. So Cozart gets it started, runner on for the Reds, and here is Jose Peraza. And Chris, you had a chance to see him quite a bit in spring training. It's been great to watch his development. Originally came up with Atlanta, involved in the trade with the Dodgers this year, and it's a young man who has a world of talent, and he showed some of that at Louisville this year.
I mean, people have been really talking about Jose Peraza since 2014, when he was one of the top prospects in the Braves organization, and the Reds were just delighted to be able to get him in the trade that sent Todd Frazier to the Chicago White Sox. It was a 3-team trade, kind of complicated, a lot of different players going back and forth, but this was the guy that made it all possible for the Reds.
From the stretch is Nola, in tied at third is Frankel. That's a bang and a base hit. How about this? Peraza in his first major league at bat, the first pitch he sees, he bangs into left for a base hit. Hello, how are you? And that's a way to open the door, Chris.
Well, you were not kidding about that. It's kind of unusual, really, that here Aaron Nola's got one of the best curveballs in the game, but he's been beaten on an 0-2 fastball, and then that fastball running right back out over the plate waist high for Peraza to get his first hit as a Cincinnati Red.
So put that ball away and save it for the youngster. So Peraza's on first, Cozart's on second, and here comes Joey Votto. Votto in at 228, 5 homers and 20 knocked in. Joey last night Struck out twice, bounced back to the pitcher, and then in the ninth was hit by a pitch in a one-run game, and the Reds had the potential tying run on, but a double play ball off the bat of Brandon Phillips ended the Reds' threat. You talk about him throwing strikes, Chris. That's all he's done in this first inning so far.
Well, sometimes you can throw too many, and he's had a couple of fastballs run back out over the plate. He does have a fastball that starts inside to a left-hander and runs back over. That first one, Joey Votto backed out of the way, and it came in and was called for a strike. Likely they're going to pitch him inside with fastballs. You know, it's interesting. While Cameron Rupp goes to the mound for a little quick conference, the Phillies are one of the very few teams in baseball that do not have a defensive infield shift on Joey Votto. They play him pretty much straight up. I mean, normally you're seeing, you know, fielders all over the place here, but not with the Phillies. They're going to just play him the old-fashioned way here. We'll see if that works to their favor.
Double play depth, middle of the infield. The center fielder Herrera pulled towards left center. That's in there for a strike, and it's 0-2. Rupp and Nola get together with the veteran Cozart out at second, making sure they're straight on the signs, and they'll go through their signals one more time. 0-2 to Joey. Votto in his career, 323, 4 homers against the Phils.
Joey did not look good last night at all against Jeremy Hellickson. In fact, few Reds did, but especially Votto. Hellickson changed speeds with his changeup and his cutter a lot on Votto and really had him befuddled. He's seen 3 fastballs in this at bat.
Breaking ball wide. Now, Chris, used to be when you played, you sat there with the charts the day before and charted the opposing pitchers. Now it's become much more sophisticated than that. But you're pitching the next day and you're watching another right-hander, Hellickson, pitch. You got to learn from that.
Well, you do, and sometimes you can have too much information. It's better to keep it simple, which is go with your strength. And of course, Aaron Nola has a lot of strength in his command of his fastball and a darting breaking ball.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Votto. Breaking ball down and in. So from 0-2, it's now 3-2.
Joey kind of making fun of himself. He's holding up the runners right there as you see him flash his right hand. Last night he did that, but there was nobody on base. And he caught himself and he said, well, in some self-deprecation, he said, you know, I'm going to hold you. Don't go. Everybody stay right there. So it's good to know he's got a sense of humor.
Amen.
While in the batter's box.
Here's the 3-2. And there's ball 4. So the bases are loaded, 2 singles and a walk, and the Reds have something cooking here against Aaron Nola and Brandon Phillips coming to the plate.
How about that? He got ahead of Joey Votto 0-2 and walked him. He got ahead of Zach Cozart 0-2 and gave up an 0-2 base hit. This is about the last thing that Pete Mackanin thought he would see here in the first inning, the way that Nola has been throwing the ball here this time of year.
So Phillips steps in with the bases loaded and the middle of the infield still double play depth. They'll give up a run on a ground ball to take 2 outs. Brandon at 276, 6 homers and 17 knocked in. Breaking ball just misses for ball 1.
I'll tell you how good Aaron Nola has been this year. This is the first time this year that he has pitched with the bases loaded.
That's 6 weeks into the season. Pretty impressive. From the stretch is Nola. That's a strike. Well located at 92 miles an hour. The fastball clips the outside corner. Nola grew up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Now lives in Clearwater, Florida, the spring training home of the Philadelphia Phillies, and was a big star at LSU. Way out in front of that 77-mile-an-hour breaking ball. It used to be, Chris, when you played, the best slider in the world resided here with Steve Carlton, and this young man now has what many people say is the best curveball.
You're right, and it has about the same effect. It simply neutralizes righties and lefties. He's looking for a strikeout here of Brandon Phillips.
There's the 1-2 with the bases loaded. Bloop down the right field line in foul territory. Howard over. He'll get it. And here comes the runner from third. Cozart will get in there, and the runner goes to third. So how about that? I mean, we've seen Billy Hamilton do it, Chris, but Zach Cozart picked his pocket as Howard was going towards the stands. He scores from third, and Peraza alertly tags and goes from second to third. The Reds lead it 1-0.
Just simply heads up baseball right here. Zach Cozart, a very smart runner, smart player overall. I think that, you know, Howard had to figure that there might be a play at the plate, although he took a couple of extra steps after he got that pop-up before he threw the ball to the plate, and Cozart scores ahead of the throw. Now they're looking at that play in the Philly dugout to see if maybe Cozart left too early. They've already had a continuous appeal down at first base, which was called safe by the third base umpire. And nothing to appeal.
Nobody steps to the top of the dugout steps, so it goes as a sacrifice fly about 100 feet from home plate.
I think Brandon did that with Billy Hamilton as well. Wasn't it Brandon
Yep.
Phillips who did that?
That's a good way to pick
up
the
shortstop.
2 RBI. Well, here's Jay. Jay at 237, 6 homers, 23 knocked in, first and third now with 1 out. And Howard did about it all he could do to wield and throw to the plate. The throw was right on the money. But Cozart broke quickly, slapped the plate with his left hand, and the Reds lead it 1-0. Fastball misses inside. And Billy Hatcher, obviously, knowing, I mean, Ryan Howard down at first has always had some defensive deficiencies, and they wanted to force him to make a perfect throw. He did, and the Reds still got a run out of it. Just missing inside. And it's 2-0. Run, 2 hits already in the first. The Reds trying to add on. That's a strike. Bruce in his career, 7 homers, 19 knocked in against the Phillies. Borderline inside. There's your breaking ball.
Well, when you face an Aaron Nola curveball, the 2 things that get you. Number one, the change in speed is significant. It's about 15 miles an hour slower than his fastball. And, of course, you've got the downward break.
2-2. And he's back with a 91-mile-an-hour fastball for out number 2. Strikeout number 1, and here comes Suarez.
You know, he not one time in this at bat against Jay Bruce took a chance of Jay Bruce getting that bat out and getting his arms extended. Every fastball was on the inner part of the plate, the same way it was against Joey Votto, and of course the one curveball in between that got him off speed.
Here's Eugenio Suarez in their matchups in Cincinnati the first week of the season. He was 1 for 3 and a home run against Nola. Overall, 238, 6 homers, 18 knocked in. Suarez, big long look down at third. Billy Hatcher rolls through his signs with Peraza, great speed off third. Votto inches off first. In the corner. Tested already, 21 pitches here in the first for the young right-hander. Make it 2. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Rupp rolls through his signs for Nola. There goes Votto. Breaking ball misses. The throw will go through to second, and he is out. Now the Reds trying to pick up two in scoring position, and Votto gets nailed at second. So it looked like a promising inning. Bases loaded, no one out. They get one out of it, but that's all. 1-0 Reds. Fly by Brandon Phillips and lead at 1-0. We go to the bottom of the first inning. Let's check the starting lineup for Pete McCannon, the former Reds coach and at one time interim manager of the Reds. Odubel Herrera will lead it off. He's been one of the most impactful leadoff hitters in all of baseball the first 6 weeks of the season. Venezuelan native Cesar Hernandez will bat second. Maikel Franco, outstanding offensive player, budding young star, hits third. Ryan Howard, the home run hitting veteran, former MVP, will hit in the cleanup spot. Freddie Galvis, another import from Venezuela who wears number 13 in honor of Omar Vizquel, and Davy Concepcion will hit fifth. Rupp, Godell, Nola, and Bourgeois. That's your 1 through 9 lineup. And here's the right-hander. Took him a while to get to the major leagues. He's making the most of his chance, Chris. Tim Adelman.
Well, you better believe it. Pretty good start already for Adelman. 1-0 earned run average, very tidy, 2.4. Does not walk a lot of batters. He's a guy that normally comes right after the hitters with fastballs and breaking balls. He may have a few extra butterflies going on tonight because he's pitching in front of a lot of family and friends who made the trip here to Philadelphia.
1 ball, no strikes. Here's a high fly ball into short center field. Peraza will come in and squeeze it for the first out. Check your Ford defensive alignment for Brian Price. Defensively, you see Peraza will get the start in center. He played short, second, and center down at Louisville. Duvall in left, Jay Bruce in right. Suarez, Cozart, Phillips, and Votto across the infield. And Tucker Barnhart, your catcher. That's your Ford defensive alignment. The Reds come in tonight 12th in the league defensively with a total of 24 miscues. Peraza, great speed. Trying to bunt his way on is Herrera. Is Hernandez rather, and he fouls it off for strike one.
Phillies had 3 bunt hits last night, and Suarez taking no chance. Look where he's playing right there. I mean, he's so close now. He's backing up now, but he was so close he could probably smell Hernandez's breath.
There's a liner in the center. That's a base hit. So Cesar Hernandez is on. 1 out, 1 on, and here comes Maikel Franco. Three bunt hits and a sacrifice squeeze last night. They made the most out of their opportunities, Chris.
Well, they did, and it was the first time in a long, long time that a winning pitcher ended up driving the run in with a sacrifice bunt. And there's Jeremy Hellickson, the winning pitcher in last night's ball game, on a safety squeeze, drives in the winning run or the go-ahead run. That was the end of the scoring.
Reds took a 2-0 lead, and the Phillies came back to win it by a final of 3-2 to give Pete Mackanin and his club a win at home. They had been on the road for the better part of 2.5 weeks. Their 21st win of the season against only 15 losses. They've had a great start. The Phillies don't run a lot. Coming into tonight, they have stolen 14 bases but been caught 14 times. The Reds tied for the league lead with 23 stolen bases. But Mackanin will pick his spots. That breaking ball flutters inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Franco takes a look down in the third base coach's box where Juan Samuel is entrenched, and down at first Mickey Morandini in the coach's box, the former outstanding infielders for this Phillies team. Samuel, of course, during the glory years. Morandini out of Indiana, after being in the minor leagues for the last 5 years, joins this club at the major league level. Boy, he was a gamer, wasn't he, Chris?
Yes, he was. Pesky little hitter.
And the guy on the other side, Juan Samuel, maybe the most well-liked players that ever played the game. I mean, Sammy, every time you see him, he's got a bright smile. He's been a tremendous tutor for so many young Spanish-speaking players throughout his career when he played and now as a coach too. One ball, 1 strike. Hernandez a little bit bigger lead as he inches off first. Not going. Franco slaps it foul and out of play. Our steel power tool performer, Michael Franco, against the Reds. He's been trouble. 3 homers, 8 knocked in, and a .395 average. He's hit safely in all 10 games, tied for the second longest active streak against the Reds. Great job by Barnhart to get a glove on that one.
Yeah, he was expecting to pitch up, and it's probably something that Adelman has not done a whole lot of, which is pitch north and south. A guy like Tim Adelman has probably made most of his pitches along the way and being told keep that ball down around the knees.
Down to third. They'll get one at second. On to first. He scoops. Good job. Great job getting out of the way by Phillips, and an outstanding job at the other end by Joey Votto, as the Reds have turned their 3rd double play in the last 2 nights. A dandy, Chris.
All the way around the horn.
defensive alignment for the Phillies, who come in 9th in the league defensively. The outfield, Goodell, Herrera in left and center, and there's your delivery to Eugenio Suarez, who's back in the batter's box. He was there at the end of the first inning when Joey Votto was out trying to steal second. Franco, Galvis, Hernandez, and Howard across the infield, and Cameron Rupp is your catcher tonight for Aaron Nola. It's way wide for a ball. 1 ball and 2 strikes. He waves at that, and that's strikeout number 2. The last strikeout of the Jay Bruce in the 5th, and here the first strikeout of Suarez in the 2nd.
You know, as a 22-year-old out of college, Aaron Nola reminds you a little bit more of Mike Leake than most any other first-round picker. Most first-round picks are guys that are big, burly, hard throwers. I mean 95-mile-an-hour, Robert Stevenson type pitchers. And the Phillies went out on a limb a little bit anyway by taking Aaron Nola, figuring that he was very polished, but weren't really sure what his ceiling was going to be. Although he was Mr. Louisiana baseball as a high school senior, he was a 2-time SEC Pitcher of the Year, so he's had plenty of accolades along the way. He finished in the top 3 in the Golden Spike Award when he played for Team USA.
Dribbler down to short. The second baseman Hernandez, who's playing over there, will gobble it up as they overshift against him, and there's 2 away, so that goes 4-3 on the putout.
So it really does show you that the one thing that does translate from amateur baseball all the way to the major leagues is excellent command of your pitches. You know, you can throw 98 miles an hour, but if you can't find a strike zone, you're never going to make the move to the major leagues. But if you know exactly where every pitch is going to go, you've got a little edge up on everybody else, even if you have a modest fastball.
Your college coach, one of the greatest pitchers ever in baseball, and number 36, his number retired here in Philadelphia. Robin Roberts always said the best pitch is still a well-located fastball, huh?
Well, and the pitchers that can do that are showing you that. I mean, last night Jeremy Hellickson showed that. Aaron Nola has done that. Now, what he lacks in velocity, he makes up for in movement. I mean, 3 pitches really from Barnhart's perspective looked like they were all going to be balls. In fact, the first 2 looked like they were going to hit him, and it came back over for a strike.
Breaking ball misses.
The one adjustment that Aaron Nola has made from last year to this year is that he's moved over from the third base side of the pitcher's rubber all the way to the first base side. And that gives him the angle to pitch against left-handed hitters a little bit better. That pitch.
That's it. Zip, zip, zip. 3 strikeouts for Nola. Reds still lead at 1-0 going to the bottom of 2.
to get to the major leagues. He told me that he's still trying to fit in. He's keeping his mouth shut and just learning from all the major leaguers that have been here a while, but still can't believe that he's here.
It's been very rewarding. Anytime I take the ball here, I feel like I'm playing with the house's money, and so it's even that much better when I can go out there and help the team win ball games. So that's my only focus.
It was a long shot to get here, and even though he says he's playing with house money, we've seen him a lot of first pitch strikes. He says, if I'm playing with house money, and if I get beat, I'm going to get beat with my best stuff, and I'm going to come right at him. That's what we've seen from him so far.
He's ready to go to work against Ryan Howard here in the second. And JD, you're down in the clubhouse every day, and it's, you know, we've got Jose Peraza up for his first major league game. That's always exciting. But sometimes when you watch the veteran players who haven't had a chance, there's a bullet shot to second, but Phillips will turn that with the shift into an easy out. Howard retired. Sometimes it's the veteran guys who fought so long to get here that impress you the most, huh?
Yeah, there's no question about it, and he gets it from an early stage in his major league career. Like he said, he's just trying to be quiet, but he is a sponge. He soaks up as much information as he can. A really intelligent young man.
Last I looked, they didn't let any dummies into Georgetown.
No.
I was just going to say that.
That's why I didn't apply, JD, and probably the same for you.
Absolutely.
I don't know that any of us would have much luck. There's a liner into center. It'll drop in front of Peraza for a base hit. So Freddie Galvis has a hit, one out and one on. It's a lot tougher to get into any school these days than it was when we got in.
Well, I guess so, George. Same situation that Adelman had there in the first inning. Had an out, then gave up a base hit, and then was able to get a ground ball around the horn double play to get out of the inning. You know, he hasn't really pitched enough at this level to determine whether Adelman is a ground ball pitcher or not. I suspect he is, because his best stuff is down around the knees and sinking.
Well, here's the catcher, Cameron Rupp, at 238, a homer and 7 knocked in. That homer was in the last game of the Atlanta series in the 10th inning to pace them to a win against the Braves. Here's a bouncer down to short. 6-4. Yes, sir. E3. 2 double plays last night, 2 more tonight. That's the pitcher's best friend. Tim Adelman will nod to that. Take on the Seattle Mariners in a 3-game series kicking off May the 20th, presented by Cincinnati Bell. Catch all the action for as low as $12. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. By the way, we talked about it when the game started tonight. This is play ball weekend. The initiative which has been co-sponsored by Major League Baseball and USA Baseball. All the players are wearing a patch as Nola's ready to go to work facing the pitcher Tim Adelman. And when the Reds return home, they will celebrate play ball weekend next weekend when they're home for that series. May the 21st and 22nd. We'll have play ball themed activities, including ballpark experiences that chime in with everything that Phil Castellini and the Reds do on a regular basis. There'll be youth and offsite activities at the P&G Cincinnati MLB Urban Youth Academy. Plus, next Sunday on May the 22nd, the Reds will distribute a play ball plastic bat and ball set to all kids 14 and younger. On behalf of Rob Manfred, the Commissioner of Baseball, and Paul Seiler, the President of USA Baseball, Chris, it's great to promote the game of baseball and not just organized but unorganized games. You know, we grew up, you know, we all played knot hole, and Cincinnati has maybe the greatest youth baseball tradition of any city, but it's the unorganized part of the game that you don't see as much these days.
You know, I think a lot of kids, if you ask them what a ghost runner was,
That's right.
they wouldn't be able to tell you. Or right field is out.
Swing and a miss by Cozart, 0-2. Zach singled to left his first time up and scored the Reds' lone run with the bases loaded. Phillips hit a bloop into foul territory about 100 feet away that Howard could not turn and cut down Cozart quick enough. Cozart scored. Here's a shot into left. Goodell is in there and he'll haul it in. Tyler Goodell makes the play, and there's 2 away.
Well, Cozart has had 2 at-bats. Both at-bats he's gone no balls and 2 strikes, and on the 0-2 pitch of each at-bat, he's hit a bolt to left field. One dropped in for a base hit on a fastball the first time up. That time Nola threw a curveball. He still hit it hard.
If you weren't with us last night, Goodell figured prominently in the ball game with 2 runners on and 2 outs. He dropped a fly ball off the bat of Tucker Barnhart. Those are the 2 runs that the Reds scored. And then he came up with 2 runners on and tripled those runners in later in the game to tie the game. The pitcher Jeremy Hellickson then laid down a squeeze bunt, and the Phillies took the 3-2 lead, and they won the game 3-2. So Goodell had the good and the bad yesterday. Here's Peraza. First pitch he saw a base hit in his major league debut. That was a base hit. His major league debut with the Reds for Cincinnati. He bounced one into left for a base hit.
Got the 3-0 Leo called on him that time.
On the corner, 3-2. Peraza was signed by the Braves, came up as a shortstop when they had Andrelton Simmons. Here's another look. That's that pitch you talked about, Chris.
Look at the grouping of pitches down there, low and away. I mean, when he misses, he does not miss by much. Must be awfully nice for Cameron Rupp, the catcher, or Pete McCannon and Bobby McClure, the pitching coach. I mean, to have a guy that can simply, you know, you can follow the scouting report when you have the kind of control that Nola does. I mean, some guys, you give them a scouting report and you know full well that they're just going to be throwing the ball out there as hard as they can anyway and not really worrying about what the situation is.
Diving catch by Ryan Howard. That robbed another hit effort by Peraza. So Howard makes a dandy play on a 3-2 pitch. Ryan flashing some defense. 1-0 Reds. Toe-to-toe Tuesdays returns to FS1 in a 200-pound world title eliminator match. It all begins Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, only on FS1, or watch it on Fox Sports Go. Tim Adelman back to work. Here's the left fielder Tyler Goodell, who will lead it off in the bottom of 3.
Well, Tim Adelman would love to have an inning like he had in the second, where he threw 4 pitches and got 3 outs.
13 pitches through 2 innings, and here we go in the 4th. Liner to center. That's going to drop in front of Peraza. So 3 innings, 3 base hits, all to center field for the Phillies. So far the Reds have kept them off the scoreboard, though. And here's Nola, the pitcher.
Cannon, like a handful of National League managers, who pretty much bats a pitcher in the number 8 spot. Peter Borges, the number 9 hitter, he's a speedy guy, and they want him essentially as a second leadoff man.
Adelman to the stretch. There goes the runner. A swing, and the throw will not be in time. He's in there. Stolen base number 1 for Goodell.
First stolen base given up by Tim Adelman in his 3 starts. Got some wheels, Goodell does.
Good route to the bag. Heavy slide to the bag, too, and he beats the throw. So runner in scoring position. Now we'll see if they have Nola bunt him over. In tied at third is Suarez, hugging the line.
Well, he's way up in the batter's box. That tells me that he's probably going to sacrifice.
Gets it down. The throw will go to first. They'll get the out. A successful sacrifice from Nola. Nola last year, when he came up with the Phillies, did wind up with 4 hits on the season. And just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Here's Peter Borges hitting in the 9th spot. Borges at 208 coming in, no homers and 5 knocked in, and he is an outstanding bunter as well. So remember last night they had a safety squeeze. You can't rule that possibility out. Reds bring the infield in, edge of the grass, tight with only 1 out. Down to third, but foul. And Juan Samuel.
You know, the sacrifice that sent him over to third base by the pitcher was laid out right in front of home plate. And you're going to see Brandon Phillips receive the ball at the other end down here, and then he receives it, and then he steps on the bag. He does that an awful lot because he wants to make sure that that catcher has a good throwing lane to first base. If your foot's on the bag, you shrink that throwing lane. Brandon has been doing that for a long time, and it took me a little while, I mean for years. And it took me a little while to figure out exactly why. It's just a smart baseball move. You want the guy who's throwing the ball to have as much margin of error as possible. He's always got plenty of time to put his foot on the bag.
Good job on both ends, Barnhart and Phillips. No balls, 2 strikes with 1 out. They'd love a strikeout of Borges here. And they get it. Nice job by Adelman. That strikeout number 1 couldn't have come at a better time, Chris.
Good looking curveball right here. I mean, he stays right on top of this pitch. Barnhart told him before the pitch, he patted the ground with his gloves. I want it right down there. That's exactly where he put it.
So 2 away, the Reds can drop the infield back to the top of the order. Odubel Herrera up, fly to center first time up. Herrera is off to just a remarkable start for this Phillies team. One of the key reasons for the Phillies' fast start and 21 wins in the first 6 weeks of the season. He's been one of the league leaders the whole month of April into May. Second in on base percentage, second in pitches seen, over 4 pitches per at bat. number 3 in singles, number 4 in walks, number 6 in average, and number 9 in hits. That's not bad. Fastball on the inside corner. He didn't like the call, but boy, did Adelman thread the needle with this one.
Well, the numbers that Herrera has put up, even more impressive considering the Phillies picked him up in the Rule 5 draft. I mean, they paid him the kind of money that you would pay a 20th round draft pick. And he went right to the major leagues and nearly hit 300 last year.
Both Goodell and Herrera Rule 5 selectees by the Phillies in the lineup tonight.
Keep an eye on that pitch when Adelman throws that high fastball. I've seen Barnhart call for it a couple of times. Adelman hasn't been close yet throwing it where he wants to. Once he nearly threw it over Barnhart's head. That time way up and away. Never did look like a strike to Herrera.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Loop down the left field line, but foul.
I just get the feeling that Adelman is just so much more comfortable throwing the ball down in the zone than changing the eye level. And I understand the concept, and it works well as long as you practice it and can do it.
Now, in this day and age, Chris, if you don't throw 95, 96, you figure the best way to get outs is ground balls and stay down. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Yep. No breaking ball there. A 92-mile-an-hour fastball caught looking is Herrera. 3 singles, nothing to show for it for the Phillies in the first 3 innings.
Talking about earlier last night, Joey Votto. Typically you will tell the runners when the ball's in the dirt to hold up, but then he realized, well, there was no one on base, so he signaled to all 3 batters. And then tonight kind of did it again, kind of mocking himself. Joey Votto, the jumps with Brandon Phillips, perhaps coming out of his shell just a little bit this year.
Chris, that might be one of your 5 pitches.
He had a really good at bat his first time up with a couple of runners on base. Nola got ahead of him, no balls and 2 strikes, and then kind of picked around the corner hoping Votto would chase something off the plate, which he never does. And he ended up coaxing a walk.
And he's in an 0-2 hole once again.
That's the pitch that just simply befuddles Joey Votto. And a lot of left-handed hitters, you come in there and they'll tell you in the dugout, next time that guy comes in there, I'm going to unjam him 450. But that kind of approach doesn't compute with Joey Votto. He likes to get that ball out over the plate.
Down to short. Galvis has it. And Votto's retired, 1 away. Galvis grew up in Venezuela and idolized Omar Vizquel, who always wore number 13. Got to meet Omar Vizquel and Davy Concepcion, and he says he wears that number 13 in honor of his fellow countrymen. He still goes back, along with Hernandez. They go back to Venezuela, which is not an easy thing to say these days, the way things have gone down there. But they go back and honor their country. He did not grow up far from Felix Hernandez, the great Seattle pitcher. He and Cesar Hernandez both. Phillips bounces one to short. Galvis has it. And there's 2 away. I mean, realistically, the Phillies have made it clear that as they look ahead, J.P. Crawford, their outstanding young shortstop product, will probably be up, if not late this year, then next year. And they figure Galvis, at the very least, for Pete Buchanan, will be a second baseman or possibly a utility player and play around. He can play the outfield and all around the infield too. Punto Fijo, Venezuela, his native hometown. Here's Jay, struck out in the first inning. And that's the way to beat the shift. An 86 hopper past the second base bag. He'll take it. Well, if you're Ryan Howard, he's going to say to Bruce sitting down there at first, come on, after the ball I hit. Bruce said, I got robbed last night the same way you got robbed tonight.
You're right. Jay Bruce hit a ball last night that the second baseman ended up grabbing on one hop in shallow right field. So paybacks, however you want to call them, maybe they even out, maybe they don't, but Bruce gets one there.
That looks like one of your 2-iron shots to the green.
You're right about that.
Do you even have that in your bag anymore?
They don't sell those anymore. Thank goodness.
You still got one. So Bruce is on with 2 outs. Here's Suarez. Got in yesterday. Did you get to play golf yesterday?
Sure did. Once in Philly and once coming up when the Reds get to Cleveland.
A day without golf is like, right? Fouled off by Suarez, who struck out first time up.
Thanks to Jimmy Hanlon and the Golf Zone. We're going to try our luck out in Cleveland, George. Invite you to come on out one of these days.
Usually I make the Cleveland trip. This time I won't. But you guys will look forward to seeing Rick Manning and our compatriots up in Cleveland. And we, of course, have been honored here in Cincinnati. Marty Brennaman is a Hall of Famer. And in my mind, I think Tom Hamilton, the radio broadcaster for the Indians, should be enshrined in Cooperstown, too. He's an outstanding broadcaster. 1 ball, 1 strike. Of course, you and I were friends for so many years here in Philadelphia, Chris, with Harry Callis, Richie Ashburn. Chris Wheeler, too, who's now retired here, but Harry Callis, one of the best.
Sarge Matthews.
Yep. Harry honored in Cooperstown. Swing and a miss.
Well, they make no mystery as to how they're going about Eugenio Suarez, because they just pitch him down and away. I mean, when he's gotten into a little bit of a slump that he's in, he's pulling off the ball. He has that left shoulder of his fly open. He drifts a little bit with his head, and that makes that outside corner very susceptible.
2-2. Bouncer right back to Nola. Underhands to Howard. The Reds get a base hit, nothing to show for it. We're going to the bottom of 4. Reds holding on to a 1-0 lead. The Phillies have finished last the last 2 years. Phillies inch past the White Sox, who lost today. And the Cubs, of course, you know that story, Chris, but those are 3 teams that are off to a darn good start for 2016.
Well, the main reason why the Phillies are on that list is that they have been superb in one-run games. They are 10 games over 500, 13-3 in games decided by 1 run. There's a little luck factor going on.
And Pete Mackanin will say, I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't pick the years that's going to happen to you. But the main reason why they've been able to do that is, yes, they've had a little luck, but they've also had a nice run with their bullpen.
Here's Cesar Hernandez, singled his first time up, was erased on a double play ground ball. Mackanin, of course, the 3-time interim manager with 3 different teams, including the Reds back in 2006. Became the interim manager here last year when Ryne Sandberg resigned. And then they gave him a 1-year deal towards the end of the year, sitting next to Larry Boa.
Like his alter ego coach there.
Yeah, and they are like a comedy act when the 2 of them are together. Here's the 3-0. That's a strike. And then they extended his contract in the offseason. They were so impressed with the way he operated in the closing months of the 2015 season. Good for him. He deserves it. And that's a walk. So Hernandez is on for the 2nd time.
Well, it's a very relaxed atmosphere in the clubhouse. I mean, Mackanin is about as laid back a guy as you're ever going to meet. And that really permeates throughout the whole major league organization. And the general manager has mentioned that these young guys here on this ball club in a rebuilding year have really taken to the fact that it's relaxed and there's not a lot of, you know, formalness or rigidity out there. Although they were out here early this afternoon about 3 o'clock practicing fundamentals on the field. Looked like a second touch at spring training.
Hernandez off first. Here's Michael Frankel, who bounced into a double play first time up. I asked Bobby Cox once about, and who certainly had winning teams when he put Toronto together, and then winning teams when he put Atlanta together with John Schuerholz. Here's Adelman to the stretch. So what are the keys? He said, well, number 1, you have to have a culture. And he established that culture certainly in Atlanta. Number 2, you have to be consistent. Let the players know you're consistent. And number 3, you have to communicate. And you can apply all 3 of those to Pete Mackanin. He does all 3 of those things. Every manager strives for that.
You know, he made an interesting comment to me when the Phillies visited Cincinnati. He said, you know, he's 65 years old now, Mackanin is. He says, if I was 45 or 50 and I got this job, I would be nervous. I'd worry about lineups every night. I would be worrying about the general manager, what he's thinking, what's the owner thinking. You know, I would be trying to evaluate this 100 different ways.
There goes the runner. Here comes the throw. It will be not in time. On the shoulder is the tag, but Hernandez got the hand in there. Second stolen base for Hernandez.
They're seeing something the Phillies are in the long, deliberate move to home plate by Tim Adelman. He's only given up 2 stolen bases on the year, both of them tonight. Reds are waiting now to see if they're going to challenge, and he does want to challenge.
The question is, did he get the glove on the shoulder or the back? Take a look.
Watch the helmet. This is the key right there. If he touches the helmet as it goes by, they're going to call him out. Boy, I don't know if.
Tough to reverse on that unless we got a better angle. Well, they will challenge. And
well, back to Mackanin though, and his point really was that now that he's 65 years old and he's made it to the major league as a manager, that he's not nervous about that anymore. He's going to manage the way he feels that he should manage, that his own personality will show, and the team takes on his personality. And a lot of times you see guys get managerial jobs and all of a sudden they change. They're going to ring him up.
They call him out. The replay from New York showed a tap of the top of that cap. So with that, congratulations Rob Coughlin, who watched the video downstairs, and then another look.
Brandon Phillips in a great spot right there, and the back of his glove right around the wrist got the top of the helmet.
So the base runner erased, and there's your first out of the 4th inning. That's a rocket shot to left, curving. It'll go foul by about 10 feet.
Well, they were nice and efficient there in New York that time.
I'll take 43 seconds anytime.
That's a New York minute.
Now, you and I were talking about it after the game last night. I like the concept that we're getting plays right, but if we're going to change one part of this whole replay thing, here's the delivery to Frankel. It's wide. There ought to be a limit, whether it's 60 seconds or 90 seconds, so that if you don't get it by then, it stands. You don't need a 3.5 or 4 minute dance to look at replays.
Yeah, we're going to run out of stories if that happens.
Probably never happened, huh? 3-2 pitch. Down to third. That's a fair ball. Roll it into the corner. It'll carry him off the screen. Falling down is Duvall, but he wouldn't have had a play anyways. We told you about the infield was covered, the outfield was not, so that grass is still wet. And Duvall had his feet slip out from under him, and it's a double.
Well, he gets over there and the ball hits off that concrete, and he's got to stop, and his feet just went out from under. Boy, he left a couple of big divots out there. Hey, I want to send out somebody with a sand bottle.
Another look. Just over the bag and just fair. So how important is that caught stealing now? So a runner at second, 1 out, and here's Ryan Howard. Hit a bullet to the second baseman Phillips in short right field. First time up. Way out in front, strike 1. And you talk about how do you deal with aging players, and back to new manager Pete Buchanan. In December he sat down and I asked him, I said, how are you going to deal with Ryan Howard? He said, I'm going to go see him and talk to him and tell him that you're probably not going to play against left-handers. This one hit deep on the right, looking up. Bruce, it will be off the wall. 1 run will score. Howard's coming into second, and he'll have a 2-base hit. Back-to-back doubles from Ryan Howard. He had a horrible last 2 weeks. His road trip, he had only 3 hits. All of them were home runs. In fact, the last 4 hits he had in the last 3 weeks were home runs. But here's his second double that plates a run.
He went down and golfed this pitch, although it really wasn't as low the second time I see it as I thought. Just about right at the hollow of the knees. And Howard is one of those classic lefties that likes it down and in.
Off the scoreboard, and Howard rolls into second with a 2-base hit. So still only 1 out. Back-to-back 2 baggers, and we're tied at 1. Here's Galvis, single to center, first time up. That's a strike. Loop to the left side. It'll be out of play. 0-2. Now the Reds and Phillies similar in some respects. Paul Jocketty and Dick Williams, owner Bob Castellini, retooling the Reds franchise, and here it started with Ruben Amaro, the general manager last year. Matt Klentak, the general manager this year, doing the same thing. And one of the most difficult parts of doing that is how do you deal with aging stars, and Howard fits that category. Not only can you make a deal, but also how do you deal with them in your clubhouse? And Ryan Howard's one of those guys, Chris, not a problem. I mean, he's been a leader for these young players, and you don't have to worry about him sitting in a corner moping.
Now, really quality man.
Good job by Adelman to bounce back, getting a strikeout for the second out. Strikeout number 3.
He comes right up the ladder. He finally gets that high fastball right where he wants it. High enough to get it out of the zone, but low enough to be a teaser pitch, and Galvis chases. By the way, those two back-to-back doubles that Adelman gave up in this inning are the first two doubles he has given up this year, which means in his major league career.
Here's Cameron Rupp, the catcher, bounced into a double play to end the second.
Look at this guy. I mean, can you believe he's only got one home run? I mean, this guy is solid.
Left field. Will Duvall get there? He will. Back-to-back doubles. Frankel, then Howard. We're tied at 1 going to the 5th. Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio is being brought to you by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on United States News Best Children's Hospitals. City of Brotherly Love, home of the Liberty Bell. And Chris, boy, it was a long time ago. Remember when you and I first started doing games together, we were able to walk around in downtown Philadelphia. You and I went to see the Liberty Bell. You could touch it back then. Now you can't get anywhere near it.
Well,
unfortunately,
you can see it, and it's still this town, as far as history and the sights that you can see as a tourist. You never run out of things to do here. Really a great town.
Here's Adam Duvall, bounced out first time up.
You know, there are a lot of ways to evaluate pitchers. I mean, we go by win-loss records. You go by number of saves, maybe hits per inning given up, how many strikeouts you have, the whip, all the different ways of doing that. But there's a new way, George, over the last few years has become very popular, called FIP, which is fielding independent pitching, which gives you an idea of what an earned run average of a pitcher should be if you had the same infield for an outfield and same ballpark for every pitcher out there. And it doesn't give you the credit for having a Gold Glove infield, for instance, that oftentimes pitchers get. So when you start evaluating pitchers like that, you cut it right down to what is the pitcher worth, how good he is. And obviously, when you're a guy like Clayton Kershaw, you're going to be at the top of that list. And Kershaw is. And Noah Syndergaard is second. Of course, a guy that averages almost 100 miles an hour with a fastball. But up in that top 5, you're going to see Aaron Nola. I mean, these are some of the best pitchers in the game right here when you're talking about FIP, which is just another way you're looking at earned run average. But it doesn't lie when you're in the company of Kershaw, Syndergaard, Strasburg, Johnny Cueto, and then Aaron Nola. So he is in some rarefied air here, Nola, at 22 years old.
Duvall strikes out. Here's Tucker Barnhart, who struck out looking first time up. Nola already putting a stamp on his young career. That's a bouncer down to second. Hits off the edge of the grass, but a nice job by Hernandez to glove it, and there's 2 away. You look at that list and you see the cream of the crop of some of the best pitchers in baseball. Were you surprised at the Strasburg signing this past week?
You know, in a way I'm surprised, and in a way I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because you did have Scott Boras as a as an agent. That, you know, anything is possible when you have Scott Boras representing you. And I think that there's some things in that contract that may not have been revealed yet that would be very interesting. But I don't know. It's a lot of money to a guy that's been fairly injured. But obviously, when Strasburg is healthy, he is one of the best around.
And it was pretty clear he wanted to stay in Washington. The next question will be, will they be able to keep Bryce Harper? That will be a gigantic contract. Aren't they all these days? 1 ball, 2 strikes to Tim Adelman, who bounced to second first time up. I remember asking Stan Musial once about if he were playing today, what he would do when he went in to talk to the owner. And he said, I'd shake hands and say, Mr. Bush, nice to be your partner. He'd own about half the team, wouldn't he? Breaking ball. Yep. 5 strikeouts. 2 of them looking for Aaron Nola. To the bottom of 5. Nola will be up second.
We've all seen that Tim Adelman has a unique delivery, a little hesitation or a hitch in that delivery, but he hasn't had it his whole pitching career. In fact, he didn't start it until 2014 when he was in Double-A with pitching coach Jeff Fassero, and he explained the reasoning.
I was kind of cutting myself off and becoming too rotational, and so it was tough to repeat my mechanics, and so I sort of started open just to make sure that when I kind of closed myself back off, I was basically going towards the plate instead of, as I said, becoming rotational, and it just kind of stuck from there. So as far as consciously thinking about the hitch, I never did that. I think it just sort of developed because of the way we fixed my mechanics.
And guys, he also told us that it's the reason that he pitches from the stretch even when runners aren't on base, always out of the stretch, because he can repeat the mechanics, and if it works, why not stick with it?
I guess, Chris, probably one of the most important factors of being successful as a hitter or pitcher is developing mechanics that you are comfortable with.
Yeah, and it helps to have a pitching coach along the way that says something that all of a sudden helps you click. And it's great that the Reds have Jeff Fassero in their minor leagues. I mean, this guy pitched in the major leagues for 16 years. And he was a very accomplished left-handed pitcher. And I think that's great that Adelman want to give him some kudos for his help.
Tyler Goodell bounces a ground ball past Cozart into center for a base hit. So once again, Adelman will deal with a base runner early here in the 5th inning, and Nola will come up. He sacrificed successfully in the 3rd after Goodell singled to center, then stole second, and he sacrificed him to 3rd.
One of the problems with that little hitch that Adelman has is that he does something very similar from the stretch position, and it takes him a fraction of a second longer to unload the ball to the plate, and that's what the Phillies are picking up. It was Goodell that had the stolen base earlier.
Showing bunt, fouled off, strike 1.
You know, but it's always a battle for a long-armed pitcher like Adelman to get his arm out of the glove up in a good throwing position in an efficient way. And so oftentimes your body gets ahead of your arm, and the taller you are, the worse that problem becomes. And that was a nice little fix that Jeff Fassero gave for Adelman. It got him to the major leagues.
Runner not going, fouled off, 0-2. Now they keep the bunt on with 2 strikes.
Well, given the fact that he has rolled up 2 ground ball double plays to end innings, I would imagine the answer to that is yes. He's still way up in the front of the batter's box. Going to get a curveball in the dirt.
Won't bite at it. Showed no sign of bunting there, and it's 1-2. Still in tied at 3rd is Eugenio Suarez for the Reds. He inches in. No sign of a bunt there, and the breaking ball misses again. 2-2. Runner not going. Fouled at the plate. Hanging in there is Nola. Peter Borges struck out first time up, sitting in the on-deck circle. Runner not going, and that is low. And from 0-2, it's 3-2. Now we'll see if Buchanan will send the runner. 3-2, no one out, runner at first.
Might be worth a throw over right here first before you throw the 3-2 pitch.
Going. Fouled at the plate. Runner going again. That's wide. Ball 4. A 9-pitch at bat, and Nola, after being down 0-2, hangs in there to work a walk. And there's 2 on, nobody out for Borges.
That might get the bullpen stirred up a little bit. I think they're answering the phone down there right now. Because in a very close ball game, you don't not want this inning to get away in a hurry.
Second walk allowed by Adelman. Here's Borges, good bunter.
So I imagine they're going to bunt here. He'll try to bunt it down the third baseline and make Suarez field it.
Shows bunt, takes the ball.
You know, the sign of a good bunter is a batter that doesn't chase a pitch that's out of the strike zone. Now, if a pitcher's at the plate, chances are he's jabbing at that pitch. But Borges, who's been around, he's an everyday player and a good bunter, will not do that unless it's a strike.
Gets it down. They'll get the out at first, so a successful sacrifice. That's the second sacrifice today, the third sacrifice in 2 games for the Phillies. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you've come to expect and a whole lot more. It also includes a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions do apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. So now runners at second and third with 1 out. Double play possibility erased. Odubel Herrera, the best hitter in his lineup in the leadoff spot, comes up. He flied to center and struck out 0 for 2.
He's been handled twice, and Adelman is pretty much going after him with fastballs.
Right in on the hands again for strike 1. Adelman to the stretch. Great spot, 0-2. He got him looking last time up. Under the glove and into center. That will score 1. They'll hold a runner at third.
Boy, he did Herrera a huge favor right there. After throwing 2 perfect fastballs on the inner part of the plate, he wanted to go right back there again, and it just floated back out over the plate. Herrera got enough on it to get it back through the box and an RBI base hit.
So a shortened swing by Herrera pays off, and the Phillies have taken a 2-1 lead here in the 5th. So now first and third. Still 1 out. And here's Cesar Hernandez, who singled and walked, been on base twice. Nola, the pitcher, leading off third. Runner not going. That's check swing fouled off. Phillies for many years owned their own academy in Venezuela. They no longer own the academy, but it was the academy that signed Cesar Hernandez after he was tutored by his dad and his uncle in Venezuela. Signed at the age of 16. Did not leave the country, though, until he got his high school diploma. And now here in the major leagues. Wide of first, into right. That'll get another run in. Now CNI singles, 2 of them produce a couple of runs, and it's 3-1. The lead belongs to the Phillies.
Now, seeing eye singles are part of the game, but walking the opposing pitcher, you're just asking for a seeing eye single to find a hole, because you put a runner on base, you shorten it up because you got fielders in double play position. Brandon Phillips may have been able to get to that ball had not been a runner at first base. So you kind of dig your own hole, and sometimes it's tough to get out of.
Mark Riggins will come out and talk to his right-hander. Now sitting at 62 pitches with action in the bullpen. So a leadoff hit by Goodell. Nola walks, then the sacrifice, and 2 base hits have produced the second and third runs.
Caleb Cotham is throwing in the bullpen. Mark Riggins just finishing the talk. And you know, out on the mound right now, Tim Adelman is thinking, I'd like to have a couple of pitches back. One being the 3-2 pitch that I walked Aaron Nola, the pitcher, on. And of course the 0-2 pitch that Odubel Herrera was able to bounce up the middle for a base hit. You throw 62 pitches in the game, all you want back are 2 of them. Doesn't happen.
Franco, big swing and a pop-up behind short over his Cozart. He'll haul it in. So Franco 1 for 3, doubled his last time up, bounced into a double play, and this pop-up, and that'll bring up Ryan Howard again. Howard doubled to right off the wall. It tied the game at 1 last inning. That was in the 4th. Well, when all is said and done and his contract is up and he leaves here, he'll leave as the #2 home run hitter all time for the Phillies, behind, of course, the great Mike Schmidt. And you look at all the power categories, he's anywhere from 2nd to 8th or 9th in every one of them. Grew up in St. Louis. And Chris, you and I remember Ryan Howard made his major league debut against the Reds in Cincinnati, and his whole family came in. No matter the efficiencies and the deficiencies of Ryan Howard, he's always been just a first-class teammate. There's a strike 1 delivery. Well, Bluff going down to 2nd.
He has given a lot of Philly fans many memories along the many years that he's played here. And sometimes what happens is you know, an organization signs a player for a long-term deal. The player gets hurt, his production falls off, and all of a sudden people dislike the player. Well, he didn't demand the money.
Yeah. And of course, during that era when he and Utley and Jimmy Rollins were here, they also produced divisional championships and world championships.
Well, there was a time, though, that Ryan Howard was one of the most feared left-handed hitters in the game.
2-1. Votto will glove it and win the race to the bag. But the damage done. A single and a walk set the table, and Herrera and Hernandez deliver. It's 3-1 Phillies.
it may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Hey, Reds fans, if you can't watch the games on TV, you can now stream Reds games live on your mobile device. Just go to your app store, download the free Fox Sports Go app, log in, and stream the Reds wherever you go. Top of the order due up for the Reds. We go to the 6th. Zach Cozart, Jose Peraza, Joey Votto due up. Cozart 1 for 2, singled in the first. The Reds' lone run came in the first. Cozart hit an 0-2 pitch into left for a base hit. Peraza, in his first pitch seen as a Red, singled to left. Votto then walked, and a sacrifice fly by Phillips down the right field line plated the run. That's the only run the Reds have. There's a grounder down to third. Cozart's retired, now 1 for 3. And here comes Peraza making his Reds debut tonight. His first Cincinnati hit was a single to left. Second time up, he lined to first on a 3-2 pitch. Breaking ball fouled off by Jose. Peraza originally signed by Atlanta. They had Andrelton Simmons as the shortstop then, so they moved him to second, thinking that eventually he would team with Simmons. Had hamstring difficulties that sidetracked him for a little while, but he can run. Backhanded by Nola, and they'll get him by half a step. Nice play by Nola. And if
well, don't look now, but Aaron Nola is just cruising right along. He's only given up 1 base runner since the Reds scored those 2 runs in the first inning, and making it look awfully easy right now.
So 2 quick outs, and here's Votto, walked on a 3-2 pitch in the first, then bounced to short. (3-2) win by the Phillies last night here at Citizens Bank Park, and a 3-1 lead by Philadelphia here. One of the surprise stories of this Phillies team has been their bullpen, which self-destructed against the Reds the first week of the season in Cincinnati, but from that point on has been outstanding, and last night was another example of it. So you want to do some work early here, and it's tough against Nola. No balls, 2 strikes to Votto. Last night, Hellickson outstanding, getting ahead, and Nola the same here tonight, breaking ball wide. Game 2 of the series tonight. Tomorrow, Dan Straley against the lefty Adam Morgan. Reds live at 1 o'clock, game at 1:30. Just hanging in is Joey, and it's 1-2. Half the Phillies defenders were 2 steps towards the dugout.
I'm wondering if Joey Votto thought that may have been a strike also.
You're right.
Well, that's some terrific comeback action on that fastball.
Two-two. Got him. 6 strikeouts for Nola. The Reds go 1-2-3 for the second straight inning. Philadelphia leads at 3-1. this season at the ballpark for as low as $12. Saturday, May 21st. First 25,000 fans will receive a Ken Griffey Jr. dual bobblehead thanks to St. Elizabeth Healthcare. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. Reds head from Philadelphia to Cleveland, where they'll play the Indians in a 2-game series. And then the Indians will return to favor to the Reds, playing 2 games before that big weekend series next weekend. And gracing us at the ballpark, Chris, Lou Piniella back in town. In town to take a look at the Reds and see some friends. He was with the Reds opening day and opening week when Philadelphia was in town, and he reunited with John McLaren, who coached with him for a year in Cincinnati, and then 14 years all told. Been great to have him around, hasn't it? I mean, all he had to do was get one day, put the uniform back on in spring training, and he was back in the saddle again, wasn't he?
He sure was. Loved it down there.
Breaking ball in there for a strike to Freddie Galvis. Caleb Cotham is now the pitcher taking over for Adelman. So Adelman 67 pitches, 47 strikes, only 20 balls. And as you mentioned, Chris, a couple of pitches he would have liked back, and the offense not much to support him on this night against Nolan. So he exits in the short end of a 3-1 score. In the dirt, they'll have to hustle, and they'll get it there in time. Good job by Barnhart. Strikeout number 1 for Cotham on a 2-3 putout. One out, and here's Cameron Rupp, the catcher. I mean, we mentioned Jose Peraza, Chris, and in talking with Lou at the end of spring training, we sat down as he evaluated all the players that he saw. He said the 2 guys who, and he's an old school guy, and you can talk about all the analytics you want, but he said what he looks for is bat speed, and the 2 guys he saw bat speed from, number 1 Jose Peraza, number 2 Jesse Winker, the 2 guys coming up in the Red system.
Nice to hear.
Hit pretty good by Rupp, high in the air, but going nowhere. Under it comes Duvall, and there's 2 away. Later on in the summer, when it heats up here, this is a home run haven. As balls fly out of this ballpark. In this series, where it's been breezy and cool, balls have not traveled much at all. Here's Tyler Goodell. 2-hit single to center, stole a base in the 3rd. And he started the rally in the 5th with another single to center, and wound up scoring the first run for the Phillies. You mentioned Herrera being a Rule 5 pick. So is Tyler Goodell. He's a Rule 5 pick this year. Meaning you got to keep him on your roster all season long, or offer him back to the team that you drafted him from. And it's a perfect year for the Phillies to do that in a rebuilding mode. The Reds tried the same method of evaluating 2 players during spring training and did not keep either one. Two balls, 1 strike. Talking to Ruben Amaro this spring, who was the former general manager here. You know, he acknowledged the difficulty that he went through last year and when to make a move. I mean, it's in conjunction with ownership, your team president, your general manager, everybody on the same page. And it's the same story that he said that he emphasizes with the Reds and what they're going through now with Walt Jocketty and Dick Williams. Not easy, and it's not a precise science.
Well, you need a little luck along the way too, and you need sometimes to strike pay dirt with players that you were hoping to get something out of, but really didn't think that they were at top of the list.
3-2 inside. That's ball 4. Cotham walks.
I mean,
his first.
Take Tim Adelman, for instance. I mean, the Reds signed him when he was pitching independent ball. He had already signed a pro contract out of college, been released by the Baltimore Orioles after a couple of years, wanted to keep his career alive, and the Reds found him in the independent league. So, you know, that's just a product of you know, beating the bushes and having some good scouts in the right place at the right time. I mean, not everybody you pick is going to make the major leagues. I mean, we talk about how this field right here is filled with #1 draft picks, but there are also a ton of #1 draft picks that never make it out of A-ball. Sometimes you just don't know.
No balls, 1 strike. And these are the 2 teams that have the first and second pick in this year's June 9th draft. The Phillies the first pick, the Reds the second pick. No balls, 2 strikes to Nola, who's helped himself tonight. A sacrifice first time up, and a walk helped fuel the rally in the 5th when the Phillies scored 2 runs. This time they'll take care of him. Phillies strand a runner. They've stranded 5, lead it 3-1. Brandon Phillips to the plate when we return. From Philadelphia, time for our Honda game summary. The Reds scored in the first. Single by Cozart, single by Peraza, walk, and then this sacrifice fly by Phillips plates Cozart. The Reds led it 1-0 in the first. Phillies came back though in the 4th. A double by Maikel Franco, and then Ryan Howard gets his 17th run batted in to tie the game at 1. And in the 5th inning, a base hit and a walk set the stage for a Odubel Herrera base hit that made it 2-1, and then Cesar Hernandez single to make it 3-1 on a base hit into right field, and that's where we stand. For the Phillies, 3 runs, 8 hits, no errors. For the Reds, a run, 3 hits, and no errors. The Reds' opportunity in the first was really their lone, strong scoring threat of the night. Aaron Nola, Chris, has been outstanding since then.
Well, it's pretty much the way a lot of people thought it would go with Nola on the mound. The Reds would have very few opportunities. They had the best opportunity really in the first inning when they had the bases loaded, nobody out. And all they got out of that was a pop out, and the scoring for the Reds has stopped right there. Scoring for the Reds when on the road has been very difficult for them this year. They are averaging as a team, when they're away from Great American Ballpark, 3 runs a game. I'll put that in context by telling you what the Cubs are scoring on the road, which is almost 7 runs a game. So that mere difference of 4 runs can make a big difference.
Yeah, that's only 4. Here's Brandon. That little bloop sacrifice fly, plated a run in the first, bounced to short second time up. This one hit in the air to center. Here comes Herrera. He won't get a glove on it. Phillips will round first and hold there with a base hit.
This is a big outfield here, and you know, this is the kind of play, if you're an outfielder, that you have nothing to lose to dive for it, because it's not hit that hard. It's going to hit and stop. So even if you miss it on the dive, it's not going to go very far. Now, he actually knocked it away from him a little bit, but Phillips still had to hold off at first base.
It looked like it was almost heading more towards the alley, but the way that wind is blowing and from left to right, you could see it on the replay. It pushed it towards the center fielder Herrera, but he still couldn't get a glove on it. So tying run to the plate, it's Jay Bruce, 1 for 2, a single. On the season, 6 homers, 23 knocked in, and for his career, 7 home runs here at Citizens Bank Park.
You know, we got a shot a moment ago of Lou Piniella up in one of the visiting GM booths. Just came into town today, came down from New York. He's going to accompany the Reds the rest of this road trip that takes you through tomorrow here, and then of course 2 games in Cleveland. But sitting next to him, to his left, is Dr. Bob Rotella, who is one of the world's leading sports psychologists that the Reds have contracted to meet with the team and players a few times a year. The guy is fascinating to talk to. Has a number of great books out there. He's mainly known really in golf circles. He's got a number of golfers who are clients of his that he's helped along the way in the sports psychology world. He's written books like How Champions Think. Golf is not a game of perfect. I mean, 5 minutes with Rotella, he can get you dialed back in.
Dribbler in front of the plate. It is a fair ball, and it's into center field. Bruce will be safe. Phillips will go to third. So it's first and third for the Reds. They had a chance for 2. It turns into first and third, and the Reds have something cooking here in the 7th.
This is the bad play by the shortstop, Freddie Galvis, right here. It was a not so good throw by Cameron Rupp, okay? But, I mean, Galvis has got to put his body in front of this. I mean, not only does he sweep it, he pulls his head off the ball. I mean, it's okay to let that ball maybe not get it out of second base, but you've got to knock it down anyway and keep it in the infield. So the Reds are the beneficiaries now of runners on the corners.
So it goes as a fielder's choice and an error on the catcher. It's first and third. And coming into today, the only guy that did any serious work against Nola when the Reds faced him in Cincinnati was Eugenio Suarez. He was 1 for 3 with a homer. Today he's 0 for 2.
Well, we'll see who makes the adjustment here, because Nola has gone about Suarez the same way each time up. Results are a strikeout and a little bouncer back to him. They pitch him down and away and down and away. See if Suarez can make him pay. Ooh, a hanger.
Wow. Drops right in for a strike. Strike 1 to Suarez, who struck out looking in the 2nd and hit a dribbler back to the mound in the 4th. Nola to the stretch. Phillips off 3rd. Bruce off 1st. Adam Duvall up next. No outs here in the 7th for the first time since the 1st. The Reds have 2 on, nobody out. Big swing, and it's 1 and 2.
You know, there's 2 kinds of curveballs. One is a ball that turns into a strike, and the other is a strike that turns into a ball. And Nola has the unique ability to have hitters chase that one that looks like a strike and turns into a ball more than the other one. He'll probably go right. Well, he's going to come inside here.
1 and 2. Now, Chris, sometimes you can see trajectory on a slow motion replay. On the slow motion replay of Nolan's breaking ball, you see the spin that is so impressive.
You know, you can hear, when you see it, it's one thing, but when you hear it, it's a whole other difference.
Hanging in, staying alive. 1-2. Eugenio trying to get back into a groove. Started off strong for the Reds early April. Has struggled since. Comes in at 238 with those 6 homers and 18 knocked in. And he got him. Strikeout number 7.
Now sometimes it's not how many strikeouts you get, it's when you get them. And he dials up a pretty good curveball right there.
Well, every scout that you talked to when he made it to the major leagues last year said if not this year then next year he'll probably have the best breaking ball in baseball, and he's proven those scouts to be pretty correct. Here's Adam Duvall, swing and a miss. Duvall bounced to second and struck out back in the 5th. Game of adjustments. Adam trying to adjust here. He's come up with some big hits for the Reds in his first 6 weeks. Setting up down and away is Rupp. Phillips off third, Bruce off first. Hit hard, past the third base bag. That's going to get 1 in. Here's Bruce rounding second, going to third. They're having trouble digging it out. They'll hold him to third, and he'll get in there by a slimmest of margins, getting the hand in. So it's a double by Duvall. The Reds have made it a 1-run game. And that'll give Tucker Barnhart a chance with runners in scoring position.
Duvall got out ahead of a breaking ball right here. Nola left it up and hit it hard, but right down the line. And he ends up on second base, his second double in as many nights.
So Duvall's sitting at second. Bruce is down at third, and here comes Barnhart. Struck out, bounced out 0 for 2. Still only 1 out. The Phillies will bring the infield halfway. Nola from the stretch, Bruce off third. Big swing, fouled off, strike 1. Rupp setting up inside. And he threads the needle, and it's 0-2.
I mean, that fastball that he throws, that reminds me of a Greg Maddux pitch. That he can just freeze those left-handers with that inside two-seamer.
0-2. Yes, missing.
Everybody flinched, including the home plate umpire.
A second and third look. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, he gets strikeout number 8. It's a big one. Now the infield can drop back with 2 away. And with Barnhart striking out and the pitcher spot due up, Brian Price will go to the bench.
I'll tell you, this kid is very impressive for 22 years of age.
Ramon Cabrera will come out to pinch hit. Before that'll happen, Bob McClure, the pitching coach for the Phillies, will come out and talk to his right-hander.
It's a mandatory meeting. Anytime nowadays you see a pinch hitter come to the plate, the pitching coach, evidently by rule, has to go to the mound and remind them what the scouting report is on Ramon Cabrera. There have been a lot of rule changes. That's one that kind of slipped under the radar, but I wanted to let you know about it.
They talk about moves and holding runners, Chris. I don't know that anybody had a better move than Bob McClure had.
You're right.
Man. Other than you, of course.
No, I needed it.
That was a tough lefty move. So they've delivered the scouting report. Cabrera to the plate for the Reds.
He's got that old time mustache going, doesn't he?
Yep.
Kind of like a Wyatt Earp.
Outstanding major leaguer. Nearly 20 years, 19 years, Kansas City, Milwaukee, and outstanding pitching coach as well.
That's 20 years before expansion.
Man. So let's see if Cabrera can deliver. 2 runners in scoring position in a 1-run ball game. And he got a dose of what everybody else is getting a dose of.
I mean, Nola is just all over the edges of the zone.
Setting up inside is Rupp. Missing inside, 1-1. The old Lenny Harris philosophy in play here, Chris, huh? You're a pinch hitter late in the game. First thing straight you see, go after it.
Yeah, well, there's only one Lenny Harris.
Yep. All-time pinch hit leader. You know, all night long, with the exception of maybe 3 or 4 pitches, he has not missed either on the plate or off the plate by more than 6-8 inches. 2 balls, 1 strike. He had him locked up with that breaking ball, and it's 2-2. Almost 30,000, 29,535 at Citizens Bank Park. Hoping their young right-hander can close it out. The Reds are hoping that their young catcher can deliver a base hit and give the Reds the lead. On the inside corner. Well, he needed it. He got it. He strikes out Barnhart, strikes out Cabrera. The Reds leave 2 runners stranded. It's a 1-run game, 3-2. Heads to the Monster Mile at Dover for Sprint Cup Series racing as Jimmy Johnson looks to defend his 2015 title. It's at 11:30 a.m. Eastern on FS1 or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Three runs, 8 hits, and an error for the Phillies. 2 runs, 5 hits, no errors for the Reds. The Reds strand 2. They've left 4 on now. They've had only 2 real strong offensive threats. In the first, bases loaded, nobody out. A sacrifice fly plated their first run, and then against Aaron Nola in the 7th. An error opened the gates. Runners at first and third. They get a double from Duvall that plates a run, but they leave 2 stranded. Here's J.C. Ramirez, who'll take over in a 3-2 ball game as we head to the bottom of the 7th. Peter Borges will lead it off. Big swing and a strike. Borges struck out and then sacrificed in the 5th. To join us late, Tim Adelman, 5 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, 3 strikeouts, and 2 walks. He exited trailing 3-1. Ramirez's 10th appearance since coming up from Louisville. No balls, 2 strikes to the speedy right fielder. It's almost like double leadoff hitters for the Phillies. Borges, when he first came up, pretty much used in the leadoff role when he struggled offensively both in the American League and then with the Cardinals as well. Dropped down in the order, and in the 9th spot with Herrera behind him, it's almost dual leadoff possibilities.
Yeah, and he's had a rough go of it the last few years, really ever since he came over to the National League. Offensively anyhow. His high water mark when he was a part-time player with the Los Angeles Angels, where he hit 274. But a lifetime 239 hitter, has 32 home runs in over 1,500 at bats. He plays good defense on most ball clubs. He's the 4th or 5th outfielder. And you see him late in the games for defensive purposes.
I think the one part of the rebuilding plan that the Phillies wanted to do and didn't do, and they might regret it now, is bringing back Jeff Francoeur, who's become a clubhouse leader. He's now with Atlanta, but he's matured so much. They did not sign him. Borges, they did sign. Swing and a miss. Borges is retired. Of course, the Reds opened this ballpark back in 2004 against the Philadelphia Phils. That was a day Chris will remember for a long time. And Paul Wilson, the winning pitcher for the Reds in debut of this brand new park. In fact, as you look at the players warming up in the bullpen when they opened here, as Ramirez deals to Herrera, fouled off. Originally, the Phillies were supposed to have the bullpen at the top part of the bullpen area. The bullpens are one above the other here. But after a couple of exhibition games, they found out that the fans were getting all over the guys warming up. So they said, let's turn it around. So the visiting team is now in the upper part, the home team down in the lower part. And you know there's some Philly fans that can kind of oil you up, huh?
Well, the closer you get to the 500 level, the worse it gets.
But the 500 level can walk down there.
Well, they used to sell this ballpark out every night, and I mean, it was rocking and rolling here.
The Fanatic, of course, Dave Raymond, the original Fanatic. Outstanding job he did. Tommy Burgoyne, now the primary Fanatic. That's a strike on the outside corner.
Not a bad crowd tonight, near 30,000.
And they braved the 38-minute rain delay. Some heavy showers in the area. They've blown through, but the temperature dropping. It's supposed to be chilly tomorrow, but no threat of rain tomorrow. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Odubel Herrera. Flied out, struck out, and singled in a run in the 5th. Probably the 2 pitches that Adelman would like to have back. The walk to the pitcher Nola in the 5th, and then 0-2. Left one right over the middle of the plate that Herrera bounced back through the middle for a base hit that gave the Phillies a 2-1 lead. A rocket to right. Back is Bruce looking up. It is gone over the fence by about a foot.
That's a challenge that.
Brandon Phillips yelling a fan reached in.
There's no question that they're going to at least challenge that, and it'll be an umpire review, I'm sure. In fact, the umpires are already beginning to walk over towards the home dugout.
John Hirschbeck, the crew chief, looked at the second base umpire, Ramon De Jesus, and De Jesus was the first to wave home run, and out will come Brian Price. Brandon Phillips is the first one to wave to challenge. Take a look, see what we can see. Look about a foot above that. And they got a good argument there. He's leaning over.
Follow that ball into the warning track.
Clearly over the railing and into the field of play area is that fan in the red.
That's so obvious that I would imagine that by the time they get their headset on and their communication set up, they're going to get the word immediately. We'll be back to baseball, and he'll be standing at second base.
So it's either 4-2 Philadelphia or still 3-2 with a runner sitting at second. And they're showing a side view now on this crew chief review. They're checking in with New York. The side view even shows it more clearly that the ball would probably not have gone over the railing, and the fan is clearly about a foot and a half.
I don't know why he's taking a picture, Jory. He's going to get a mug shot later on. They'll let him keep as many as he wants. Get a whole portfolio done down there at the precinct.
They're looking for him now. They can't bring the horses up there though, can they?
I'm stunned it's taking this long.
Yeah. Oh, they're calling it a home run. Oh, amazing.
Wow.
The call will stand, so it's a home run, and it's 4-2. I mean, the view from home plate shows the fan reaching over, and there's another view that they showed.
Maybe they
from
thought
the side.
This ball would have gone over, even though he reached out over the fence. We didn't. We did see a side view on the home scoreboard here. Maybe we don't have that in our truck, but
well, it's a 4-2 game on the homer by Herrera, his 4th of the year.
I guess he's not going to get his portfolio done after all.
He's got his picture of the scoreboard though. And I don't even know, again, that was a scoreboard shot that we had here. I don't know whether they had that in New York. They have the 2 broadcast feeds, but they may not have seen that shot from the side, which was even more definitive. So here's Cesar Hernandez, who singled, walked, and singled. He's been on base all 3 times, and in fact, he singled in the 3rd run for the Phillies back in the 5th. 4-2 Phillies. Phillips scoops. Devato 2 away. Here comes Michael Franco, who bounced into a double play, doubled to left to start a rally in the 4th when the Phillies tied the game at 1 and then popped to short in the 5th inning. You look around the Phillies lineup and try to project who are the stars of the future. At the top of the list is this guy from third base. Good bat speed, has power. Now 7 home runs, 19 knocked in. And whether you're Brian Price or Pete Buchanan, you look at the young athletes you're bringing up and where they fit. But you also look at the intangible of who are going to be your leaders. And that's something this club is looking for, similar to what the Reds are looking for their future. Well, a home run by Herrera gives the Phillies again a 2-run lead, 4-2. We go to the 8th. Thanks, guys. Hopefully the Reds can find a way to rally here. Odubel Herrera's home run has given the Phillies a 2-run bulge again, 4-2 as we head to the 8th inning, and that'll be it for Aaron Nola. Nola's 7 strong innings. He exits after allowing 2 runs, and Andrew Bailey will take over, Chris.
Well, the bullpen, the Phillies struggled with so mightily when they came through Cincinnati to open the season. I mean, it was the bullpen that essentially gave away 3 games in that series. They have really settled down and thrown the ball extremely well late in the game. Interesting really about Nola. As good as he's been this year, Phillies home fans have not had a chance to see him pitch to his potential. In fact, his earned run average at home was just terrible. He had not pitched 1 good game here at Citizens Bank Park. Both starts that he's had came in the month of April. But boy, he turned it around big time, and I think that the people that got to see him pitch live were mightily impressed.
Andrew Bailey starts off by striking out Zach Cozart. That's his first strikeout, and after Nola struck out 9, that's the 10th strikeout of a Red tonight. Jose Peraza to the plate now. Peraza, his first hit as a Red in the first inning, lined out and bounced out. He joined us late. Nola and Red starter Tim Adelman hooked up in a pretty good pitcher's duel. Adelman 5 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, struck out 3 and walked 2. 67 pitches in those 5 innings of work. He was a strike machine as usual. 47 strikes and only 20 balls. Your report card on Adelman tonight,
I think
Chris?
he did another good job, George. I mean, he kept the team in the ball game. It took him a few extra pitches to do so, but I like the way he goes about his business. I really do. He's got a nice curveball. Not afraid to pitch inside. I mean, the Reds just have not been able to score many runs, especially when they get away from Cincinnati. So as a starting pitcher, you know you can't give up very many. But walking the pitcher in the middle of that 2-run 5th inning is the big no-no.
There's Bailey to the stretch. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And he gets Peraza back-to-back strikeouts. Bailey was kind of a gamble back in December. They signed him as a minor league free agent, and you look at his career, Chris, he's had some moments, some brilliant moments. Signed by Oakland originally, then on to Boston. Spent some minor league time with the Yankees and made a brief stop with the Yankees last year. Has had arm difficulties along the road, including Tommy John surgery and a bounce back from that. Here's Joey Votto tonight. Walked, bounced out, struck out. One time 95 to 96. That fastball tops out around 92, 93 now. Back in 2009, Rookie of the Year, was an all-star both in 2009 and 2010 when he first broke in with Oakland. And you talked about it often. He's one of those guys that really in the minor leagues was a starter and learned how to pitch in the minor leagues, got to the major leagues and became a reliever and leaned on that fastball. 3 balls, 1 strike.
Now, not only that, he probably feels like he's a pretty good fit for the Philadelphia Phillies because he's a native of Haddon Heights, New Jersey, which is right across the border.
Full count, 3-2. And Joey takes a walk for the 2nd time tonight. That'll bring the tying run to the plate. It's Brandon Phillips. And don't forget, Sunday, May 22nd, kids 14 and younger will receive a play ball bat and ball set in honor of Play Ball Weekend. See your Reds take on the Mariners for as low as $12. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. As we talked about earlier, if you joined us late, all the players are wearing Play Ball insignias on their uniforms tonight. This is Play Ball Weekend for those teams that are home. A joint venture of Major League Baseball and Commissioner Rob Manfred and USA Baseball and USA Baseball President Paul Seiler to promote not just organized baseball, but the game of baseball around the country and around the world. We'll celebrate it next weekend at home. Phillips pops it foul and out of play. Brandon facing Bailey for the first time tonight. Brandon, with the bases loaded in the first, lofted a pop up down the first base line. Ryan Howard back to home plate, caught it. Zach Cozart scored from third on the sacrifice fly. And Phillips bounced out and singled to center in the 7th to start a Reds rally. Reds got their run in the 1st on the Phillips sacrifice fly, and then in the 7th, trailing 3-1, Phillips singled. Bruce reached on an error to put runners at 1st and 3rd. Duvall doubled in a run, the Reds' 2nd run of the night, and that's where we stand. Ball and a strike. Did he hold? Yes, he did. Well, pinpoint perfect to the first 2 batters. Then he walked Votto. Now it's 3-1 to Phillips, and out goes Cameron Rupp to try to settle him down.
Well, there's about a 100% chance of Brandon Phillips getting a fastball here on this 3-1 count. In a 2-run ball game with a man on, he'll be letting it rip.
A little tardy on it, foul back, try it again, 3-2. Phillips sitting on 6 homers and now 18 runs batted in on the season. Votto, long lead, off and running on the 3-2, fouled off again by Phillips. With Votto running, a double should score a run, with the Reds trailing by 2. Popped up, and this will stay in the infield. Over comes Howard, and the second baseman Hernandez will call him off and haul it in. So the Reds strand a runner after the walk to Votto, still trail 4-2.
Our Miller Time moment is brought to you by Miller Lite. Let's take you back to the 1976 NLCS. These very two teams, Reds and Pirates. Reds rally for 3 runs in the 9th. Foster and Bench go back-to-back yard. And then Ken Griffey Sr. with the walk-off hit. The Reds would rally to win this game 7-6 to sweep the Phillies in the NLCS. One of the greatest teams to ever play the game. They didn't lose a postseason game. They swept the Phillies. They went on to sweep the Yankees in the World Series. Your Miller Time moment, and a good time to wish the big dog, Tony Perez, happy 74th birthday, Tony Perez.
You're right, JD. If there's anybody who's 74 years young, it is the big doggy. And happy birthday to Tony. And Patuca, of course, his lovely wife. And, you know, you can never forget, Chris, when they all came here in '83. Pete Rose, Joe Morgan, and Tony Perez reunited here in Philly uniform. Well, another debut. Here's Lane Thompson, Chris, making his major league debut. For Thompson, called up for the 2nd time. He becomes the 5th Reds player to make his major league debut, along with Robert Stevenson, Tim Melville, and Drew Hayes, and of course Tim Adelman, who started the game tonight. So a moment for Lane, and a special moment already tonight. Jose Peraza made his debut with the Reds with a base hit, the first pitch that he saw. Wasn't his first major league hit. He, of course, played in Los Angeles last year and had a couple of hits there. But for Thompson, a moment to remember, Chris.
Well, you're not kidding, George, and he'll remember it too. That's a strike foul. I thought he called it a fair ball. He got an out on the very first pitch he threw in the major league. So that's about as good as you can get for Lane Thompson. 6 feet, 190-pound right-hander from South Dakota State University. Did he hit him out of the batter's box? They're going to ask for the umpires to get together. If you're completely out of the batter's box, of course, and you're hit by a batted ball, once you're out of the batter's box, you're a runner. So if you're hit by a batted ball, whether it's you, and it lets that foot, yeah, it looks like he was out of the batter's box, and that's a good call.
And actually, he was out of the batter's box before he even hit the ball. He could have been called out there.
Well, you as long as you've got 1 foot in the box, you're okay.
Another look. Watch his right foot as he crosses the line, and then it hits right there. The right foot.
Oh, that's a good call, and extremely efficient now for Lane Thompson.
A way to start it. Howard bounces out.
2 pitches, 2 outs.
That's the way to do it.
Can he have a 3-pitch inning in his major league debut?
That's pitch efficient.
How can you take that pitch?
Here's Cameron Rupp. Rupp bounced into a double play and flied out twice. Thompson from South Dakota State was a great high school star in Yankton, South Dakota, playing 3 sports.
Well, every time I think about a 3-pitch inning, I think of Sammy Ellis.
Oh, amen.
He had a running bet that if any of his pitchers had a 3-pitch inning, he'd buy us a case of beer. God rest his soul. Passed away a few days ago, and a great loss to everybody. His family, baseball community, his friends. What a wonderful man.
But he'll be remembered forever. He touched a lot of lives on and off the field and made a lot of young pitchers better, not just mechanically, but mentally and emotionally, to help them on the road to the major leagues. So a base hit for Rupp, 2 out, 1 on, and here's the left fielder Tyler Goodell. Thompson was selected by the Reds back in 2013 in the 22nd round. And a great moment for Lane, and a great moment for Andy Stack, too, who signed him on this night.
I mean, there's a lot of miles between prospects when you're scouting in South Dakota.
You're not kidding. Hit hard towards the hole. Nice play by Cozart for the final out of the 8th inning. Oh, last roundup time for the Reds, going to the 9th. Welcome. Thompson's made it to the majors. Game with all of the information you need for that day's game and all around the world of baseball with Reds Live on Fox Sports Ohio. Reds Live presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Join Jeff Pecoro, Brian Giesenslaw, and the crew after the game tonight and before the game tomorrow. Dan Straley gets the ball tomorrow, Chris.
Well, Dan Straley's been very impressive, mainly because he knows how to pitch. He knows how to use his stuff. He's not afraid to move the ball around, not overpowering. Remind you a lot of Tim Adelman and a little bit of Aaron Nola. He's got a little curveball going too. Adam Morgan will go against him, a left-hander. Lefty righty matchup in the getaway day before the Reds get on the bus and the plane and head on to Cleveland for a 2-game set with the Indians this week.
And of course the game tomorrow, 1:35 start. We'll be on with Reds Live at 1 o'clock. Here's David Hernandez, who will come in and try to close this one out, facing Jay Bruce here in the 9th inning. Bruce, Suarez, and Duvall due up. Jay 1 for 3, a single, and reached on an error. Bottom of this bullpen has done a great job after that first week of the season, and part of that is David Hernandez as well. He's been outstanding, along with, of course, the two guys that the Reds saw last night. Genmar Gomez picked up his 14th save and 15 opportunities, and Hector Neris continued to deliver when they needed appearances. They both have been great down the stretch. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Jay. David Hernandez enters the game in place of Ryan Howard in the 4th spot, and Andres Blanco will enter the game in the pitcher spot. He takes over defensively at first base. Wide will go full 3-2. Great to have you with us. George Grant, Chris Welsh, Jim Day, Ryan Giesenslaw, Jeff Pecoro will wrap things up. Hopefully a smiling scoreboard if they can rally here. And our crew down in the truck, Josh Hall, our producer, Brian Hunterman, our director, Matt Sigafus styling up some highlights for you tonight, and Lauren White, of course, with graphic support from Citizens Bank Park here in Philadelphia. And great to have the crew that is always so helpful to us here when we come to Philly. Rip but foul into the right field corner. Drew sitting on 214 career home runs, 7th on the all-time list. Next up, George Foster at 244. Miss it inside, and the Reds get a base runner. So a leadoff walk here in the 9th. Larry Boa, Pete McCannon, Bob McClure look on as they've given the closing job on this night to David Hernandez.
Well, you may remember it was in the opening day of the season when Hernandez came in and ended up blowing it. He gave up 3 runs to the Reds without getting an out. Ended up getting the loss in that opening day game.
Loop to right towards the corner. It's a fair ball. Borges has it, slamming on the brakes, and the ball gets away at second, but no one will advance.
Well, that's why you don't put your head down when you head back to first base like that.
Suarez was halfway to second and watched the relay as it caroms past the shortstop.
I like the aggressive way he goes around first base, but as soon as you put your head down when the ball is still alive, you open yourself up for something happening that you don't expect, that you don't take advantage of. He sees the throw coming and goes, oh, I'm going to go back to the bag, and maybe he thought there was a throw coming back there, and he could have been being yelled at by Freddie Benavides.
So first and third now, still nobody out, and here's Adam Duvall. Duvall doubled last time up to plate the Reds' second run.
So from the Phillies standpoint, the runner at third doesn't mean anything.
Double play depth, middle of the infield with no outs here in the ninth. That's a strike.
You're thinking about home runs. Hernandez has given up 2 on the year, both of them coming in the same game.
Tony Cingrani has gotten up, started to loosen in the Reds bullpen. That's a strike on the outside corner. Duvall hitting 7th in the order. Tucker Barnhart, who had one of those hits in that rally for the Reds against Hernandez back home on opening week, is in the on-deck circle. First and third from the stretch, Hernandez. Hanging in there, staying alive is Duvall.
Curveball, fastball, curveball. So if he stays on that trend, the next pitch will be an outside fastball right here.
Popped up, heading to the dugout area. Blanco giving chase. He'll run out of room. Suarez strung out his at bat, and Duvall trying to do the same thing. Yeah, we've really seen, Chris, last year and this year, how Adam Duvall has really been able to hang in tough at bats against tough closers. No balls, 2 strikes. Trying to do it again here. It's hit pretty good towards the corner. Over is Goodell. It's one hop off the wall. 1 run will score. Here comes Suarez to third. Into second is Duvall. He's got another 2 double game, and the Reds have moved to within 1, 4-3.
Well, Hernandez has to be thinking this is deja vu all over again. The same thing that happened on opening day to him is happening again. In that ball game, he walked 2. Here he's walked 1, but given up a run with a couple of runners on base now.
And Duvall spoiled a couple of tough pitches, but hung in there for that one to drill it into the corner. So now, still with nobody out, the Reds have the tying run at third, the go-ahead run at second, and out comes Bob McClure to talk to Hernandez and try to settle him down a little bit. Hernandez has been one of the keys to the bottom of this bullpen up to tonight. Each of his last 7 appearances were scoreless, 10 complete innings and 13 strikeouts in those innings. Here's Barnhart, who singled against him back in Cincinnati to help fuel that rally. Tonight 0 for 3. Struck out, bounced out, struck out. Here's the 0-1. Infield in with no outs and runners at second and third. Pitcher spot due up next. Jordan Pacheco in the on-deck circle. Hernandez to the stretch. 1-2. The other benefit with the infield in now is that the runner at second, Duvall, can get a bigger lead because he's got the shortstop in front of him. So he's got a huge lead. A base hit should score 2. That's foul down the first base line. We're in the ninth, second and third, nobody out. Reds trying to rally against the Phils. Off his foot and foul. Four runs, 10 hits for the Phillies and an error. 3 runs now, 7 hits for the Reds as they've gotten 2 hits here in the ninth. the stretch, Hernandez. Down to first. They'll hold the runner and get an out. First out of the inning. So with Thompson due up, Jordan Pacheco will come in. The Reds do not have a left-handed bat left on the bench. Ramon Cabrera, the switch hitting catcher, pinch hit back in the 7th. Ivan De Jesus Jr., Pacheco, and Holt are those that are left, all right-handed. So here comes Pacheco, who's been really the Reds' most reliable pinch hitter this year. Still second and third now with 1 out. Big swing and a strike.
Now there's Pacheco doing the idea, the Lenny Harris idea, looking for the first pitch and trying to drive it, and David Hernandez dropping the curveball on him.
Hernandez, second and third, will work from the stretch. High in the air to left. This should get 1 run in. Goodell under it. Here comes the runner coming to the plate. Here comes the throw. It will be in time. What a throw. He holds on. What a play. That ends the game. A double play on a brilliant throw from Goodell to the plate. But you know the Reds are going to challenge this. Was he blocking the plate prior to the tag? What a play by Rupp. He's allowed to catch the ball if the ball is taking him into the lane of the runner. Take another look. If it stands, it's a tremendous throw from the left fielder and a great catch and tag by the catcher. Suarez did all he could do to try to jar the ball loose. And Rupp holds on. What a tremendous effort by Rupp, and a great effort by Suarez to try to get the ball jarred away. Rupp has the presence to come back and grab the ball before it pops out of his glove.
It is going to be very interesting how they rule this in the replay room in New York.
You're not allowed to catch the ball and then move into the lane. You are allowed to follow the ball and catch it in the lane. And they're saying it is a double play, fly ball out. And Chris, we talked about it at the start of this series. The Phillies have been able to come up with miraculous 8th and 9th innings, sometimes offensively, sometimes defensively. Give Cameron Rupp credit and give Goodell credit. A great throw, a great tag. And the Reds' effort to score the tying run wiped out of that double play.
Well, an exciting finish. It certainly isn't the way the Reds fans wanted it. Another 1-run win by the Phillies. And that throw took him right into the baseline right there. Suarez did what he could do. And an exciting end to a pretty tight ball game.
The play confirmed by the replay umpires back in New York. A great throw, a great tag, and a tough luck end for the Reds. Suarez did everything he could do to try to jar the ball loose, and he almost did. You saw a lot of white in that ball as it almost squirted out. So there's your story. The Phillies hold on to a 4-3 lead and win it 4-3. We'll take one more look at it. It almost hit Suarez's shoulder. I don't know how Rupp caught it.